Ladies and gents, one of the guys took this in on trade the other day and I could not help but put a video together about it. This is a true blast from the past because although I never owned one, I was a very big fan of the Pontiac line of cars in the early 2000s. For me, back in 2001, when this vehicle was built, I was 21 years old. I was a big car guy. I loved the idea of the sportiness of the Pontiac line of vehicles. I like that Ram Air technology. I like the Grand Prix, which had like the wide track stance. I absolutely loved the WS6 Trans Ams with their Ram Air and that hood. That car was just phenomenal looking. So when I saw this, like I said, it got traded in. I had to just take a minute to look around and show you as well. Let's go through some of the stats here. Yes, this is a 2001 Pontiac Grand Am GT. It is the 3400 series V6. This particular one has 943,000 miles on it. I checked the Carfax, it's completely clean. It had two owners. The first owner had it for about 16 months, and then the second owner had it over 22 years until they traded it into us last week. I did some research, and when the vehicle was new, the MSRP for a four-door GT started around $20,685. This one has a sunroof, so we could assume it was about a $22,000 car back in 2001. It is a front-wheel drive vehicle. It weighs a little over 3,100 pounds. It had an estimated EPA gas mileage of 21 in the city, 32 on the highway, and that is with the GT 3400 series V6 with the Ram Air technology, which added 5 horsepower. So this car is 175 horsepower, 205 pound-feet of torque. And back then, all that was covered by a bumper-to-bumper warranty of 3 years or 36,000 miles, whichever came first. Obviously, in this case, a long time ago. Probably the coolest feature on this car is that Ram Air technology. So let's pop the hood and take a look at what we got there. I will say overall, we're going to take a look at the whole car. It's very clean for 24, almost 25 years old. And there she is, Ram Air by Pontiac. Basically, cold air is going to come right through the front grille here into this little air box, which is going to follow this tube right into your actual air box with your filter and then directly into your engine, providing cold air. That cold air would give you more power. It would also give you probably better efficiency. And it's what a lot of people do on their cars today. So if someone's modding out a car, the idea is always to get some sort of a cold air intake or some sort of a way to get cold air from outside the vehicle into that engine without having to pick up the heat from the actual engine bay itself. Another sporty-like feature is the quad tip dual exhaust. Now, if you look underneath here, you're gonna notice it's basically a single exhaust that just branches off in this one muffler. It sounds pretty good for a V6. Now, it sounds pretty good for a V6 because I believe there is an exhaust leak and there's probably a hole in that muffler because it's pretty loud when you start it up. It also has a pretty good belt screech coming from under the hood, but maybe a couple small fixes for someone that would actually end up wanting to purchase this to fix it up. If I had the room to do that and to make content with it, I would actually do that. The problem is I don't have the garage space to do it. And actually, we're not selling this vehicle. This will just go straight to auction and we will unload it probably in the next day or so. As we look at the front of the vehicle here, you can see you do have a nice set of fog lights, your headlights, everything's obviously fogged over, but they make some pretty inexpensive products you can buy literally at Walmart or any auto parts store that can clean that up. There is some failure to the clear coat, in the front bumper, which again, this vehicle's 24, 25 years old. Like, it's to be expected you're gonna have some issues. In all honesty, it's actually really nice looking. I remember stuff like this used to happen to my Mercury. I had a Mercury Cougar with my first car. You can kind of sand this down, paint it, and you're good to go. You can really dress this up quickly with not that much work. What are your thoughts on the body cladding? That was a big thing with Pontiac and with General Motors back in the day. Kind of give the car a whole different look in an inexpensive way. Nice spoiler on the back. Again, needs to be refinished, but not all that bad. Grand Am GT badges all around. This is probably the worst part of the vehicle. Right here, you have a ton of rust by the fuel door. So over time, I guess, from either filling up, but this is all rotted. It looks like it's been tried to be maybe fixed or painted over time. That's probably the biggest problem you have with the vehicle. At least on the exterior. On the interior, you can see the whole dashboard. The vents are gone. It's kind of buckled and melted and peeling apart. But otherwise, the interior actually is very clean as well. We could take a look in there. Seats are clean. Again, mind you, this car has over 200,000 miles on it. It's really, all things considered, in nice shape. Again, other than certain things like the dash is separating here, just heat through that windshield over time, warping up that material. Like I mentioned earlier, this does have the sunroof overhead, which is probably an additional option. And then here you can look, we have our AM, FM, CD, and cassette. You have your climate control. You have fairly basic gauges. This does have cruise control. Here's your fog light switch, headlights on the stalk here, and wipers on the right hand side. So, you know, a lot of the stuff very basic today, but more on the higher end of 2001. Again, this one being a GT is your highest level of trim. A base car, maybe it doesn't have CD, I don't know. Maybe you can get the cars back then without cruise, without air. You know, I don't remember. That's before my time. I started selling Chevys in 2004. This does not have a power seat. It's all manual. It does have tilt wheel. So what I want to do is I'm going to adjust it to where I would be comfortable, which is pretty much here. And then I want to see if I can actually fit in the back seat of this. You know, this one being, I guess what you consider a compact car back in 2001. The Grand Am would be a compact, maybe the Grand Prix would be the mid-size, and then what did they make, the Bonneville? The Bonneville would have been the full size. So with me sitting in the front comfortably, my knees are touching the seat. You can see how much I'm off the seat here. It's not all that comfortable, but it's not all that bad. You know, if you had to do it back in the day, you find a way. The headrest is interesting with this hole in the middle. I just noticed it does have power height adjustment on the driver's seat, so you can bring it up and down. Power windows, power locks, and in this particular one, a broken power mirror switch, which looks like, again, the piece got broken apart over time, so this no longer works. The remote also doesn't work in the battery, so we'll manually open our trunk lid here. Look at the trunk, very clean. Looks like they had a lot of different mats and stuff in here. You got a little cargo net, spare tire under the bottom. The wheels are pretty nice. It has some chrome wheels on it, but you know, again, it's just a quick look, kind of a blast from the past. If YouTube existed back in 2001, I'm sure you would have saw a whole bunch of videos on this. Back then we had to rely on TV shows and Motor Trend and Motor Week and things like that. Now with YouTube and with people out there doing it themselves, we can put our own video content on these cars. So I hope you enjoyed. If you're into cars, if you're into dealership life, if you're into Chevrolet, please consider subscribing to the channel, and we will see you very shortly in another video.